Hello, hello. We're gonna wait just one sec, see who needs to come in late. In the meantime, oh, there we go. I think that's our last person. Okay, so will everyone please leave their team name and their name in the chat so we can take attendance, and then we can get started.
Natalie, this is Kelly Masters for Boss, but I'm on my phone, so I can't do what you're asking.
I do know you're here, so no worries. You did mention earlier you were going to be on your phone.
Thank you.
No problem. In fact, I'll write you in on the chat so that we can make sure you're counted. All right.
I don't have anything by that name.
Okay, so we're going to get started in just a minute then. And here we go. Welcome, welcome, welcome to this year's managers meeting. First off, can you raise your virtual hand if you are able to? If this is your first battle. Okay.
Hey,
Looks like
Natalie.
Mhm.
I'm the manager for Page Punchers. I'm in the car, so I can't do it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, please drive safely. We do not want to be responsible here in the library for any car accidents or anything, especially since the roads are still a little icy from yesterday. All right, so yeah, I just wanted to get an idea on how many newbies we had, and I know we have a lot of returning battlers this year, so welcome back or welcome to battle. This is the 16th annual Northville District Library Battle of the Books. It's a long-held program here in the library, and it's one we really treasure. So thank you guys so much for joining us this year. We're really thrilled to have you all with us. There is a lot to cover today. Oh, looks like we did have somebody who was a little bit behind. There is a lot to cover today, so please, please, please hold all questions to the end. First off, managers, you might have noticed if you're a returning manager that this year we did change how we run the team managers in that we don't have co-managers anymore. That doesn't mean that parents and older siblings can't help coach teams, but each team will only have one official manager from now on. It just makes it a lot easier and streamlines us being able to reach out to you guys. As always, the manager job can range in intensity depending on how much responsibility the team members themselves want to take. The main responsibility that you guys all have, though, is communication and confirmation over the team name, members' names, and the correct spelling. I'll be sending an email to you with the information that we have on your teams. Normally in the first week of February, closer to the end of the weekend. Let's see, everybody's coming in a little late, even though we have all the teams, it seems like. So your responsibility is to carefully check out that information, make sure we have all the names spelled right, all the grades right, the school right, all that jazz. You'll need to let me know about any corrections or changes by February 13th at the latest. Please be sure to respond even if the information is accurate and up to date so that I know you've received it. Otherwise, you're going to receive a whole slew of emails from me and phone calls, just making sure that we have the contact info for you correct. This information is used in the Battle of the Books program, not the contact info, but everything else, so that you guys have something that you can keep and your team members have something that they can keep for years afterwards. It's a nice little bit of memorabilia. The other responsibilities that can be shared by the managers or students are to decide who is reading which books, the ways that you guys arrange meetings, and how to discuss and brainstorm questions you think that we, the librarians, will ask. Deciding on costumes if your team wants to enter the costume contest, and coming up with practice questions. Some teams really like to meet frequently, some only a few times. Every team is different in how they handle that. Please do your best to remain safe and healthy during your team meetings and practice for battle responsibly. As with last year, the costume contest is going to be held through social media. The costumes can be simple to elaborate. If you want to take a look, you can scroll down through some of the photos that we have on the Northville District Library website. We've got some wonderful ones. Some of the standouts were the librarians who dressed as very stereotypical librarians, and we all got a kick out of that. Or the grim readers who all wore hoodies and took their photos in the cemetery. It was fantastic. Let's see. The costumes can be simple to elaborate, but must be obvious as costumes either unifying or relating to a theme. This year, as with last year, please send in pictures of the teams in their costumes anywhere from 48 hours to 1 week before the event via email to my email address, which I will put in the chat. And if you guys arrived a little late, by the way, please put your team name and your name in the chat so that we can mark off that you guys were here. And there is my email. Oh, I did not send it to everyone. I only sent it to Michael, who is helping out today. Sorry, Michael. Let me just send that to everyone this time. And of course, you can always reach out to me with questions. I'm here to answer as many as you guys have today at the end of the meeting. All right. So during the day of battle on the library social media accounts, we will be sharing all the photos that are submitted, and we will choose the winning team itself at the event with a random drawing. All right. Speaking of the event, let's get to that. As a reminder, please hold all the questions to the end. Normally it doesn't get too disruptive, but it's always just good to make sure everyone's on the same page. First of all, and the biggest question that I know you guys are really itching to ask, will battle be in person or virtual this year? Well, at this time, we are currently planning and have made arrangements for battle to be held in person. If we hold it in person, it will be at the Northville High School cafeteria, where it has been held in previous years. However, we are keeping a very close eye on case numbers and trends, and if necessary, we are fully prepared and able to move back to virtual. It all depends really on the current CDC and state and school guidelines, as well as the case numbers and any recent developments. Due to how quickly things can and have changed over the past few years, we're going to run through how the event would work both in person and virtually here today. All right, so let's cover in person first. If battle is held in person, there will of course be changes to the format. First of all, we will be restricting in-person audience members. The extent of this is still being discussed here at the library, but we are tentatively planning for each team member to have 2 tickets for two audience members of their choice to cheer them on. Plus, each team will have an extra ticket for the team manager. As with last year, battle will also be live streamed through Facebook, and the video will be available afterwards through the library YouTube channel. So please encourage friends and family who can't attend to tune in and support their teams. While we cannot currently require masks at the event ourselves, they will be heavily encouraged, and we will have an extra supply of masks on hand for anyone who needs one. So please mask up and make sure that you and your team members are up to date on vaccines and any other recommended protective measures by March. The event will be held starting at 6:30 on Wednesday, March 9th. If in person, as I said before, it will be held at the high school cafeteria. Please arrive and check in around 6 and no later than 6:15. Latecomers who are not there by 6:30 and ready to go will be disqualified. We ask that you arrive by 6:15 so we have time to check you in without any delay to the program. If held virtually, it will be held through Zoom, and managers will need to make sure their teams are in front of a computer on the day of the event and logged into Zoom absolutely no later than 6:15. Again, latecomers, in this case, anyone who comes after 6:15, will not be allowed to participate in battle. As team managers, you must be able to ensure a reliable, steady internet connection to the event if it's held virtually. Your team must be on camera for the duration of the program, and cameras must be turned on. You guys are all right today, but for battle itself, if it's virtual, keep those cameras on. We will not accommodate tech issues as was the case last year. If you get kicked from the event due to technical issues, then your team will lose points for any questions they missed or they are able to rejoin. So please consider having a second device or computer ready to connect to Zoom in case of any issues. All right, next up, let's talk about the fun part of Battle of the Books. Battle is run by myself and another member of the Library Youth Department, Miss Laura Bomia. We write all the questions ranging from easy to difficult. And when we get difficult, we get pretty difficult. The top 3 scoring teams win prizes. How did I turn that into a tongue twister? Which can be picked up from the library after the event. In the event of ties, we have a sudden death tiebreaker round. The top placing team also is immortalized on the Battle of the Books plaque by the entrance of the library. If you would ever like to see that, check out the entrance, the front doors of the library, or ask a librarian. We're happy to show you where it is. The event is comprised of 7 rounds with 8 questions in each round, as well as I mentioned before, if necessary, a sudden death format tiebreaker round. The answers to each question will be sourced from at least 2 locations in the book, although this can include 2 spots on the same page. Please be sure to include the correctly spelled last name of the author with each answer as well for an easy point, or for a very easy missing point. This can make or break whether or not you win battles. So make sure they all know how to spell the last name of the author correctly. The first 2 rounds have 20 seconds per question. The 3rd through 5th, 15, and the remaining rounds plus the tiebreaker will have 10 seconds allotted per question. Can get pretty intense. All right, so I already see a few people looking a little fidgety when I mentioned the sourcing things from 2 spots on each page, and I'm guessing that they're a little confused or a little interested in how we're handling things from our first ever graphic novel pick, Shadow of the Batgirl. So with Shadow of the Batgirl, there's going to be just a few things to point out. You only need to include the author's last name, not the illustrator. The illustrator is wonderful, and we encourage them all to learn the illustrator's name, but it will not have to be added to every question. Additionally, when it comes to questions derived from the art side of that particular book, we will be doing our best to avoid questions that pertain to just background details and will instead be focusing more on questions about the narrative. i.e., we could ask, where does Cassandra live after running away from her father? But not, what kind of animal is on the awning in the back of the restaurant Jackie owns? Although, as always, anything in the text is still fair game. So that means dialogue, anything that's a number, or anything that's a word. Basically, if you can read it, it counts. I know that might be a bit confusing and somewhat up to interpretation, so I highly encourage you guys to ask questions if you're unsure about anything. But we have consulted with other libraries who have used graphic novels as battle books before to make this choice and to build this policy. Like I said, don't hesitate to reach out though if you're unsure about anything. Additionally, for accessibility reasons, because we do have 2 members or 2 participants in battle this year who are colorblind, we will not be asking any questions from that book that involve colors. For the in-person battle, each team will need to write the answer to the question on a scorecard, which will be taken to the judge at the end of the allotted time by one of our volunteer runners. If battle is held virtually, the teams will be assigned a judge to communicate with directly when they check in. All answers must be sent in a direct message to that assigned judge alone. If the answer is posted publicly in the chat, the team will be marked off and everyone else will get points for that question. If your team is connecting to battle from multiple accounts, as in a team that might be in several different areas, rather than a team that's all in the same room, then only one during virtual battle may message the assigned judge. If there are technical issues, we will allow that designated answerer to change. There will be a running score kept during the event, and at the end, we will announce the top 3 teams as well as the winners of the costume contest. I know that that's kind of confusing to just read out to you guys. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a quick practice session for virtual battle. So because we're not actually scoring anything and we only have myself and Michael here today, please send all of your answers to Michael. Nobody is going to get any prizes today, unfortunately, but just to make sure you all understand how it works, you're going to be sending your answers to this question in a private chat to Michael. All right, now I'm just going to share my screen. All right, so here is how the sample question in this case would look, but it's the same kind of format as the normal battle questions. We will not be asking any about Star Wars and battle itself, but it's a pretty good cultural touchstone. So generally you guys don't have to struggle, or it's a good one to use as a sample question. All right, so in this case, the question is, what is the name of Han Solo's ship? And you can start sending your answers now. Remember, private message to Michael. And it's 20 questions on the clock, or 20 seconds on the clock. You only have to answer one question today. All right, time's up. And the answer is the Millennium Falcon. All right. And that's how questions work in a virtual battle. And for in-person battle, we do have a promo that we've used for previous in-person ones before. So I'm going to show you guys that video too. And you can also see all of these. You can also even see the entirety of last year's virtual battle if you want to see more about how it works on the Northville District Library YouTube channel. All right. So let's see. Basically, you can see the setup here. I wasn't planning on showing this video, but this was generally how the tables were set up at Battle of the Books. So as you can see, the kids sit in the front, and then we set up the audience chairs in the back. All right. Oh, sorry. I'm going to stop sharing. There we go. Just a couple of reminders as well. We do require that teams do not communicate with their managers or any other adults in the audience. It's disruptive, it increases the chance of cheating, and if we see it, then we may disqualify your team. We will make exceptions in the event of any medical issues or anything like that, so don't worry about that. And similarly, we ask that unless they're being used to connect to virtual battle, that no cell phones or electronic devices are allowed with your teams. We will make an exception again for medical devices or for smartphones that might be required to connect to said medical devices. So reach out if you just want to make sure that we are aware of stuff like that. Okay. Battle is a really fun night with a lot of excitement. This program is meant to promote reading for students of all reading levels, and some team members might read all 7 books, while a slower or struggling reader might only read a few, or even just one. Most range in the middle. They'll read 3, maybe even just 2, and that's completely all right. What matters is that they have fun, they enjoy it, and they all work hard. Everybody can contribute to their team, expand their reading, and just plain have fun. Before we move on to questions, there are a few more reminders that I would like to include. I would like to remind all of our returning managers and let our newcomers know that we do not accept challenges to the questions and answers. This includes after the event, but it can be particularly disruptive when it happens during battle. This was a nightmare for our judges last year during virtual battle in particular, and actually caused several delays in the battle process. This decision comes directly from the head of the youth department and has been co-signed by library administration. So they would also like you to know to please don't think that you're going over our heads emailing them, as happened once last year. All right, let's see. With that out of the way, because, oh yeah, Michael also wanted to add that all props for an in-person battle should be put away and should not be at the table with them. This includes hats, this includes sandwich boards, anything that can basically get in the way. Costumes are still welcome, but we just don't want anything that might get in the way or might have answers secretively written on there. Let's see, I know a bunch of people arrived late, so I would also like to just reiterate what the manager responsibilities are. Let me just take a look at my notes. Mostly you guys are here to, or the one core thing that you all have to do is keep an eye on emails from me and double check the spelling of all of your team members' names, all of the schools, the grade levels, all of that jazz when I send that out in early February. You can also, and even if there aren't any corrections to make in that particular email, please, please, please just respond to me and let me know that you are receiving them. Other responsibilities that can be shared by the manager and/or students are to decide who is reading which books, setting up meetings to discuss and brainstorm questions you think the librarians will ask, deciding on costumes if your team would like to enter the costume contest, and coming up with practice questions. Some teams meet frequently, some only a few times. Just do your best to remain safe and healthy during your team meetings and practice for battle responsibly, and also have fun. All right. I think that that's everything. I don't think anybody else missed anything later on. With all of that out of the way, does anyone have any questions?
Sorry, this is from Page Punchers.
Mhm.
I have a couple of questions. You said you won't be asking any color related questions. Is that like, what is the color of her hair, color of the eyes? None of the, are all those questions are?
That is only related to the graphic novel that we chose this year.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else, anything is fair game as long as it's listed twice in the text.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So one other question about the the graphic novel that you chose.
Mhm.
So one of my teammates, the girls, wanted to ask. So there were a lot of onomatopoeias like whack and those words. So is there something like they have to count those or something like that that would be?
We did think about asking on the sound effects because it is technically text, but
Yes.
I will give you a spoiler alert. None of the questions that we ended up including were related to those. We decided not to be that mean this year.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. They'll be relieved. Thank you.
Mhm.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Can you review really quick? I may have missed it, but did you say that there's 7 rounds with 8 questions each?
Yes,
And then
7 rounds with 8 questions each. Each round will have 1 question on each of the books and an additional question on one of the books.
Got it. Okay.
Mhm.
And the rounds 1 to 3 are 20 seconds to respond, 3 to 5 are 15, and the rest are 10 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
There are still 6 folks who have not signed in on the chat and put their name and what team they are here with. I know that some of you guys are connecting through your phone, but if you are not, please leave your info there, unless you are driving. Please don't do that if you're driving. If the person who was driving earlier is still driving now.
I have an extra question. So actually 3. So first of all, with the book titles like Bloom, like a trilogy, is Bloom just what you're expecting for writing the title, or is it Bloom plus the extended, like?
No, we will
Okay.
only ask questions on the book that we have assigned. However, anything in that book counts. This includes the cover. This includes the back cover. This also includes, in the case of Bloom, there is an excerpt from the second book in the series, Hatch, included in there. So we might ask questions that have an answer that can be sourced in there.
Okay, so excerpts are included potentially.
Yes,
Okay,
but not the rest of the book. Although
not the
it
rest.
is a great series, so if your teens enjoyed Bloom, they should definitely move on and continue reading it.
Okay. And when they have to write the author and the name of the book on this little paper or
Mhm.
type it, do they have to just write Bloom, or they have to write like the saga? Like because the title of the book is not just Bloom, it's Bloom. I don't have it in front of me. Somebody.
They don't have to write the title of the book. They only,
Okay.
because we
Okay.
actually include the title of the book in the question. So
Okay, so is it
they
real
only
relevant?
have to write
Okay.
the author's last name.
Okay.
And again, with Shadow the Batgirl, they don't have to write the illustrator's last name.
Okay. And then this is a question, but if it's in person and you have a teammate that has to quarantine, they're just out, there's no way to zoom them in because you can't monitor like smartphone zooming them into the live event, or if someone has to be quarantined from your team and it's an in-person event, they're just
Unfortunately, if it's an in-person event, then we won't really be able to zoom them in.
okay. I was just trying to figure things out. Okay.
No,
Okay,
that's a
that
very
happened.
good question.
Okay.
Things do happen like that. We have actually in the past had times when somebody couldn't come to battle because they got sick. Admittedly, we have not had that happen during the pandemic, but I will double check with my coworker and my supervisor to see if there's any way we can maybe work around that. But at this time, there's probably not going to be a way for them to do that during in-person battle.
Okay.
During virtual battle, though, it should be fine.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I
Like
said,
last
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, because yeah, we had someone quarantined last year and we were able to make it work, but with in person, I wasn't sure how you were going to
Yeah.
finagle that. Okay, thank you.
We still highly encourage them, if they are not able to make it to battle, though, to watch the live stream and cheer on their teammates. And they still count as part of the team and will be still included in the program too, so don't worry.
Okay, thanks.
All right, I cut off somebody who was asking another question, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, that's okay. I cut you off. I just wanted to know, how many teams do we have this year?
I believe we have 14, I have to double check.
Okay,
Let's see.
I had one other question, it just,
Yeah, it's a pretty
I
small
just-
battle this year, so it should make things easier to social distance a little during the event if we do it in person.
and how many people are allowed to come? I'm sorry, I missed that, I was driving, so.
We have not fully, we're still discussing it and we're still liable to change that
Okay,
in the event of different guidelines or requirements. But at this time, the tentative decision is each team member will have 2 tickets that they can give to anyone of their choice.
Okay.
And each team will also have an additional ticket for their manager.
so that's 3 adults, 3 people, other than.
Well, 2 per team member and then an
Oh,
extra one
2
for the
per
manager.
team. Oh,
Team
2 per
member,
team
not
member.
team.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Michael, our head of computer stuff here, says that we've got 14 teams represented here today, but 6 are not signed in. So please, if you have not signed in, please do so now.
I had a question.
Mhm.
In that 2 ticket per team member? The team member is also included, or team members don't need the ticket?
Team members don't need the ticket because they're not sitting with the audience.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks, Sonu. She must have seen your direct message and decided not to cameo in the video anymore. All right. So I know I blazed through that info very quickly. We are recording this and it will be available on the Northville Library YouTube in case you guys need to go through it again. And I will tomorrow send out just some of the highlights and some of the key information that you guys need to know. You can also take a look on the FAQ section of the Northville Library website for some commonly asked questions regarding battle. Yeah, are there any other questions?
I have a quick question. I think I missed the part. When they're in person, how do they respond to the questions? Are they writing it out or they use a device? How does that work?
All right, basically, we have scorecards that we print out for them at, I think we usually use Staples. We might do them ourselves this year because we have fewer teams, but we have scorecards. Each scorecard is labeled with the team name and the question number that they are answering it with. They fill it out. They fill out their answer on the scorecard, and they also put the author's last name on there. That's the only time as well when we enforce correct spelling. With the answer of the question itself, as long as we can tell what word you guys are trying to spell, that's all that matters. Which I'm sure will come to be a major relief for a lot of the team members who are reading The Winter Horses, which has a lot of particularly tricky words. But they fill it out, and then once the time has elapsed for that particular question, they raise it up in the air. One of the volunteer runners who are from the National Honor Society will grab it and take it to the assigned judge.
And then can like one person be assigned to be like the recorder, like the one who has better handwriting, or?
Sure.
Okay.
As I said, we actually do require that for when there are multiple people connecting through Zoom for the virtual battle. But for in-person, that's all up to your particular team, whether you want to write or have the fastest writer do it or the one with the best handwriting.
And they're able to talk with one another for the answers? Okay.
Although we do ask that you not shout out the answers, we will consider it being equivalent to the virtual battle where you put it out in, or you put your answer in the chat rather than sending it as a direct chat message to your judge. And we will mark them off a point while giving every other team participating a point for it. Does that make sense? We had one team one year that tried to give everyone the wrong answer to trip them up. So that's why we do it now. All right. So if you have any changes to make to your teams as well, please be aware that the deadline for those changes is February 13th. You'll get more contact from me beforehand. I'm assuming that everyone here did receive the emails from me though. So I just want to make sure I have everyone's email correct. Nobody's email bounced, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody received it. Because I know at least one person wasn't able to find the first email I sent out. I sent out 2 total and had to get the link from a friend.
Hey,
Okay.
Natalie, this is from Page Punchers. I did not receive the email either. I got it from a friend. My email actually looks correct in the email message. I don't know why I did not receive it. I did not receive the first email or the second email. I didn't even know that you sent 2 emails.
That's so strange, especially because someone else had that same issue. We're trying to figure it out, but it's nothing that we've come across before.
Okay.
So I might just need to stop doing badge emails. Which is
The
always going to be.
Email looks correct. I've
Okay.
seen, yeah, it looks correct.
I guess I'm going to be working out my copy pasting muscles quite a bit in the future then. All right.
Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. We just want to make sure everyone gets these emails. All right. So-
I have
Oh.
a question.
Mhm.
I might have missed it, but the question is, does the answer have to be spelled correct or just the author name?
Nope, the answer does not have to be spelled correctly. We do ask that the spelling is at least close enough that we get what you're trying to get at. But we are not going to behold everybody or ask everybody to correctly spell. Hang on. I think I can just let me look at a random page in the Winter Horses. I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a word on there that I have trouble pronouncing.
Pulaski horses.
Yeah, we're not going to ask if we know that that's what you're trying to spell, then you'll get the point. If instead of Przewalski's, you put down, say, Preston, then we might not give you the point for that. Or Elvis Presley horses.
Thank you.
Keep in mind too, if your team members are still unhappy with that, they might have to try and learn to at least spell it somewhat correctly, but I have to learn to pronounce them. So everybody gets to suffer in this case. All right. Any other questions? Sorry that it's shaky. All right. Well, it looks like we've got most of the questions. Oh, it looks like one of those ended up in the spam folder. So please, if you did not somehow receive it, but you're still here, A, we're really happy that you're still here. And B, check your spam folder, please.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So it looks like we're about ready to wrap up. If you do have any other questions, though, you can always reach out to me through email. My email is in the chat. If you have not signed in the chat, this is your reminder to please sign in the chat. We're happy that you were able to come. We're excited on behalf of the library. We're all really excited to see you guys at Battle and your teams as well. Please tell your teams best of luck from the library and the librarians who are running Battle. And we're really excited for another awesome event. All right, may the books be ever in your favor then.
Thank you, Dr. Jen Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for coming.